So the problem here is stress in early childhood. And these are some definitions of stress. Stress is an applied force or system of forces that tends to strain or deform a body. It is the internal resistance of a body to such an applied force or system of forces. Or mentally or emotionally disruptive or upsetting condition occurring in response to adverse external influences and capable of affecting physical health, usually characterized by increased heart rate, a rise in blood pressure, muscular tension, irritability, and depression. Then a stimulus or circumstance causing such a condition. So the environment. Christian Science is by nature, it is written into its DNA, a stress-producing environment. But when you're in it, the abnormal becomes normal. This is just the way it is. John Locke said, the faculties of the mind are improved by exercise, yet they must not be put to a stress beyond their strength. So physical, emotional, or psychological stress as a manageable force, condition, or influence is actually healthy for a person because it builds resilience. So your child, you're raising your child, and they're learning to walk. That is a stress-producing situation for the child. Now, if you're carrying your child around all the time, you're going to be eventually carrying around a 10-year-old because they never learn to walk, and because you're trying to protect them from falling down and hurting themselves and having to deal with stress. Well, it's through stress that we build resilience, if the stress is manageable, critical. Hence, a bodybuilder stresses his muscles with increasing weight in order to build greater muscle mass. But stress that is continuous, or stress that is unpredictable, or stress that is overwhelming, creates trauma. If you go to the gym and you can bench press 200 pounds, if you have to bench press 200 pounds for 24 hours, it ain't going to happen. Because that kind of continuous stress on your muscles is going to create damage. If you are able to bench press 200 pounds and you're at the gym and you're lying on the bench and somebody comes and just drops 200 pounds on you, then you could easily handle it. You knew it was coming, but it's unpredictable. You're not expecting it. It's going to damage you. If it is overwhelming, you can bench press 200, but then somebody comes up and puts 200 more pounds on that bar. It is too much to do. You just can't do it. So stress, when it is continuous or unpredictable or overwhelming, but often in the groups we work with, all of this together. It's not just, it's continuous because that's the way things are. It's unpredictable because I don't know when my neck might be on the chopping block. And it is overwhelming in the sense that I don't have the support structures to help me understand or to deal with this in a way that is healthy. Bruce Perry, individual who worked with the kids from Waco, Texas, that came out of Branch Davidians where they burned. He said, events that disrupt homeostasis, that's your state of calm. Now, a lot of you are just kind of sitting here and you're calm, or you might be ramped up inside a little bit because some of this might be disturbing. But your state of calm are by definition stressful, events that disrupt this. If the stress is severe, unpredictable, prolonged, or chronic, the compensatory mechanisms can be overactivated. In other words, the way that you try to get back to equilibrium, this becomes overactivated. Can be activated or fatigued and incapable of restoring the previous state of homeostasis. An event is traumatic if it overwhelms the person dramatically and negatively, disrupting homeostasis, state of calm. In a very real sense, trauma throws the person off balance and creates a persisting set of compensatory responses which create a new but less functionally flexible state of equilibrium. I get ramped up a lot easier. I snap more quickly. This new trauma-induced homeostasis is more energy-consuming and maladaptive than the previous state. Now, let me give you an example. Remember the old click pens with the little spring inside. A little spring, you pull it out, it goes back together, pull it out, it goes back together. You pull it out, that stresses it. If you let it go, it goes back to its state of equilibrium, its homeostasis, its state of calm. Now, if you pull that spring too much, you can spring it. And it will go back to some extent, but it won't go back all the way. So what happens in the human limbic region is that there's a new base point. You don't go back down to where you originally were designed to be at, that worked well for you. You are now kind of in an elevated state. So it's much easier now to get triggered.
Right, and you don't always know that. You don't recognize that you're at a higher level now.
To go into overdrive.
Yeah, right. It's not recognizable at all, unfortunately.
So it compromises full functional capability. Trauma robs the person. He has survived the traumatic experience, but at a cost. Now, this is not only in terms of discrete or singular events that can occur for you, but also living in an environment that is by nature stress-producing. So, normal changes in the brain in response to difficult and stressful events offer short-term advantages for dealing with the grim and dire emergencies that prompt them. So if it's short-term, it can be a healthy situation because it is something that, again, develops the ability to be able to navigate really tough things. Under duress, it is adaptive to be highly vigilant, aroused, ready for anything, impervious to pain. The body is primed for sustained physical demands and for the moment, indifferent to what might otherwise be intensely disturbing events. These short-term advantages, however, become lasting problems when the brain is altered so that they become predispositions, like a car stuck in perpetual high gear. When the limbic regions of the brain take on a new set point, a new baseline, during a moment of intense or prolonged trauma, this change in excitability means all of life is on the verge of becoming an emergency. The abnormal now becomes normal. And even an innocent moment is susceptible to an explosion of fear run amok. That is what happens when a child is raised in a destructive environment. Whether it's a group, whether the worldview is involved, or it's just this family that is really awful to live in, these kinds of things are what develop in the individual's neural network. And we have a lot of this in our society today. A lot of this.
If you know anyone that's been in a war situation in Vietnam, Afghanistan, they come back and they suffer from PTSD. It's obvious when you see them startle really quickly when they hear a car backfire or something. That's just a very simplistic example of it, but that's exactly what goes on in a child that's been raised. Did you want to say something? The child that's raised in a group situation where they're taught certain ways of responding to certain things, and it's always on. And again, a lot of the people that we work with at Meadowhaven, their startle response was incredible. I mean, it was if somebody knocked on the door to the room that we were counseling in, which is all open, it's full of windows, it's very airy and light, it's not dark, and it's a comfortable place to be in. But if somebody knocked on the door, they would react as if somebody was barging in and was going to harm them in some way. Invariably, it took a long time to get over that fear of what could happen. Not that they were even beaten up or anything, it was just not being able to trust the situation that they were in.
Trauma robs you of control. Robs an individual of control. And so the difficulty is, how do I regain a sense of control over my life in a way that really works for me? It robs you of your ability to be able to navigate social environments as well in a way that's healthy. The goal of all trauma therapy is to integrate what you have been through into your life narrative in a way that works for you, in a way that makes sense, in a way that allows you to go forward without being triggered by this all the time. Triggers are essentially something from the past that has leached into the present. And that past experience now feels real right now.